and for today's equine learning segment, we are going to be talking about thoroughbreds, which is actually perfect since today we are working with Dreamer. In your riding lesson, you're working with Dreamer, and he'll be out here to talk as we talk about his breeding in a little while. It's also appropriate because in today's riding demonstration, we worked on the equicizers. And we may have given you a little bit of background information about the equicizers a long time ago, but we thought it would be appropriate to bring them out again today and show you how they are used by jockeys, especially in the off-season, to train. So the equicizers, all three of the equicizers that we have were in, are $3,000 pieces of equipment, and they were invented by a jockey named Frankie Lovato to help train jockeys, to help them with their strength training, to help them with whipping. And as you can see behind me, Molly has her stirrups up about as high as they can go. But if you notice when you watch a jockey run on a racehorse, their stirrups are, they're way up higher than Molly can put them in this specific saddle. In a racing saddle, the saddle is so small, they're barely touching the horse's back, if at all. But we thought it would be cool to show you how they ride the equicizers when they are exercising. So it's sort of something unlike anything we have taught you in any of our riding lessons so far. But you can see it's a workout, right, Molly? Just to stand up that high off the saddle with your feet up that high. And they do this for hours at a time. Jockeys are in such great shape. So we're going to go into a little bit more about racing as we go into this segment, but we are going to pause the video and bring out Dreamer. All right, now we're back. We brought out Dreamer. So Dreamer is very loved around CTR. He is a 22-year-old bay, his coloring is bay, thoroughbred. And he's CTR's first and only off-the-track thoroughbred, which means that he raced in his younger years. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but I'm going to talk about a little bit of history about the thoroughbred, some of their traits, how fast they can run, and then we'll get into some racing information. So, and I will say that Dreamer's racing name, or his registered name, is Ursula's Dreamer. So you'll notice a lot of times when you're watching a race, or even in shows, and all over the horse world, horses typically have a barn name that we call them, like we call him Dreamer, and then they have a show name or a racing name or a registered name. So his name is Ursula's Dreamer. We don't know why he has that name, but some of their names can be really interesting. So the thoroughbred was developed in England for racing and jumping. That's what they were meant to do. And the origin of the thoroughbred may be traced back to records indicating that a stock of Arab and Barb horses was introduced into England as early as the 3rd century. So Dreamer has pretty good conformation and all the characteristics of your typical thoroughbred. They have delicate heads and slim bodies. Now, Dreamer doesn't have the slimmest body because he's retired and he's loving life. He's allowed to have a little bit of a hay belly. But typically, they have slim bodies. With a lot of those young racing thoroughbreds, you can actually see their ribs. Broad chests and short backs, and their short leg bones allow a long, easy stride. So when they are running, you can see those thoroughbreds, they have long legs, and it is amazing how far they reach out when they're running. They are sensitive and typically high-spirited. Dreamer is the most non-thoroughbred thoroughbred we've ever met, I think, because when we first found out that we might be getting a off-the-track thoroughbred at CTR, we thought, we'll see, because typically thoroughbreds are very high-spirited. They have to have a lot of energy to race the way that they do. But Dreamer is very, very low energy, which is perhaps why he wasn't as successful at racing. I know. I'm talking to you out of love. He wasn't very successful in racing. They average about 16 hands, which is pretty much on the dot. I think he's 16.1. And they weigh about 1,000 pounds. Once again, pretty on the dot for him, might be a little bit over for him. And they're usually bay, chestnut, brown, black, or gray in color. A thoroughbred, when they are on the track, can reach up to speeds of 44 miles an hour, which is pretty fast. If you're think about being on the back of that horse while they are running. And they are often a choice of breed to breed with more heavier breeds to give them that stamina and that agility. For example, you see a lot of draft horses getting crossed with thoroughbreds, and those are often really cool mixes because they are a little bit heavier, not as delicate as a thoroughbred, but they still have that speed and agility for jumping. A common misconception is that a thoroughbred is any purebred horse. But that term is often used incorrectly. Thoroughbred is just a specific breed. And let's see. So today you have the Jockey Club. And the Jockey Club manages one of the most sophisticated computer operations in the country. Its database holds the names of more than 3 million horses on a master pedigree file. Names that trace back to the late 1800s. So the Jockey Club is what you would register your thoroughbred into. When you talk about a purebred dog, they have papers. Well, with a thoroughbred, you register them in the Jockey Club in a lot of cases, and not even all thoroughbreds are registered. The system handles daily results of every thoroughbred race in North America. So you can find racing information dating back to the 1800s. And although there are records of horse racing on Long Island as far back as 1665, the introduction of organized thoroughbred racing in North America is actually credited to Governor Samuel Ogle of Maryland, who first staged a thoroughbred race in the English style at Annapolis in 1745. So that's another fun fact that, Maryland is a really big racehorsing state, and some of the earliest races started in Maryland. So racing is a huge industry today, a multi-billion-dollar industry. One other fun fact is that all registered thoroughbred horses have a birthday of January 1st. So even though Dreamer was technically born on March 25th, 1998, his birthday is considered January 1st, would be 1999? January 1st, 1999, since he wasn't yet born on January of 98. So that's a very interesting.
No, that's wrong.
Fact.
It'd be January 1st of 1998, and he would turn 1 on January 1st of 1999.
Oh, okay. No, you're right.
Yeah, so they turn 1 no matter how early before January 1st they were born.
That's why it's so odd.
Yes.
Because he was 1 before, or he was born before he was even born.
Right.
So we celebrate his birthday on March 25th, though. And then I'm going to have Molly demonstrate that all registered thoroughbreds have racing tattoos. And you'll never believe where they have these racing tattoos. It's on their upper lip. If you turn their lip inside out, Dreamer does indeed have a tattoo. A thoroughbred tattoo is a letter followed by 4 or 5 numbers. His is really hard to read. You would have to, they suggest turning off a light and doing, so that everything's black, and then using a flashlight. But the letter is supposed to represent the year of foaling, and the number, and the 5 numbers after the letter, it just says that the letter represents the year of the foaling. Never mind. So let's see if we can demonstrate that real quick. See if he'll at least show you so you can see the tattoo. It's kind of like greenish blue ink. I don't know if he's going to hold still. Oh, there he goes. Oh, there. So I can see a 9 and a 1, but we can't really make out the number is thank you for demonstrating that, Dreamer. So it's really interesting, and we could go really far in depth about racing. If you're interested in that, you can find all sorts of information online. I'm going to give you, before we end, a little bit of information that I found online at Equibase. I am not a member of the Jockey Club or so I couldn't look at all that stuff. We would have to pay to see that. And I know that Kathy has a picture of him racing that I will try and dig for and show you in a future segment. But as I told you earlier, he didn't race very successfully, but he did have 19 total starts, which means he started at least 19 races. Doesn't necessarily mean he finished them all. 2 first place, 2 second places, and 3 third places. And his total career earnings was $18,447. That sounds like a lot, but he raced over, let's see, it was several years. He raced up until 2005. So that's a little bit older for a racehorse. Now in 2005, he only earned $1,380. But it's still really interesting to look back and see what he did. We're certainly happier that he ended up here with us. We love him dearly. He is a rock star, and from the time that we got him, we put him pretty much right in the program. We knew when we went to go see him that he was a keeper. We rode him and kind of tested him out when we went to go see him, and then we waved the tarp at him and he didn't bat an eye, and that's when we knew he was coming to CTR. So I hope you enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more about Dreamer and Thoroughbreds in general, and we'll see you in the next segment.